In my video on how to join a clan before multiplayer comes out, I mentioned that multiplayer does not exist yet in the game. Yet half of the comments left on that video are from people that think that multiplayer exists, which made me realize that as a teacher, I failed half of you guys in that video. Knowing what does and doesn't exist in this game is the first step to becoming an advanced player. If you don't know what exists, then how do you know what to start building? For example, I've heard several people tell me that they aren't going to build the motorcycle so they can save their resources to build the ATV. This is not a good idea for two reasons. The main one is that the ATV does not exist yet in the game. This is a more obvious example, but there are some things that don't exist in this game that are not as obvious. In fact, I've had conversations with several advanced players that thought something existed that didn't. In my opinion, there are two reasons why so many people have confusion on what does and doesn't exist in this game. First, there are a lot of YouTubers out there that like to troll you. They aren't doing it to be malicious, they just think it's funny, and you give them lots of views, which makes them lots of money. So they're just gonna keep doing it. If you don't want to get trolled, I would recommend not just searching on YouTube for any video that interests you, but rather finding one or two good YouTubers and watching all of their videos. The second reason it's so hard for people to know what does and doesn't exist in this game is because Kiefer, the creators of Last Day on Earth, have themselves been a little bit of a troll. Now don't get me wrong, I love Kiefer and I think they have an amazing game that continues to get better and better, but they never explained or listed anywhere in their game, or even outside of their game, the things that don't exist yet. In addition to that, the game is always changing. 1 month ago, oak, copper, and steel did not exist in the game. 2 months ago, the motorcycle did not exist in the game. 3 months ago, the underground portion of Bunker Alpha did not exist in the game. All of these things seem like they existed in the game, but they didn't. Just like right now, it seems like the helicopter and electronics lab exist in the game, but they don't. In this video, I'm going to list every single thing in the game that does not exist yet. And because I want this video to stay current, if anything gets added to the game that I am mentioning in this video, I will put it on a list in a pinned comment below this video. Feel free to check the comment right now if you want to. If anything is listed on that comment, then it has been added to the game and it now exists in the game. First, let's talk about all the materials that don't exist yet. As I mentioned earlier, copper, steel, and oak were added last month, which means that the only raw materials left that don't exist in the game yet are titanium, tungsten, ash, and sulfur. These items do not exist yet in the game. If you see someone with one of these items, they are hacking the game. In the future, Kiefer will add new areas that will allow us to farm these materials. But since they have not made any mentions to these materials in their updates, it is probably a long way off. In addition to those raw materials, there are 4 other items listed throughout the crafting menu that also do not exist. Eventually, we'll be able to break down these items into high-tech components with the electronics lab, but that seems to be a long way off, and Kiefer has made no mention of where we will be able to find gunpowder. The ATV transmission is not in the game yet, which means that even if you were somehow able to get the 200 engine parts required to build it, it is still impossible to build the ATV. Therefore, the ATV does not exist yet in the game. The electronic circuit was introduced to the game in update 1.5.4, but then was removed within a couple days in the following update. Kiefer will probably reintroduce this item in the game when they are ready for us to finish the acid bath. The acid bath will eventually be used to cleanse infected crates, but currently neither of those are actually in the game. If someone claims they finished the acid bath, they are either a hacker or a liar. Now, because these 8 items do not exist yet in the game, over 20% of the blueprints in your crafting menu cannot be fulfilled. I'm not going to list them by name, but feel free to pause this video at any time. If an item is marked in red, then it does not exist in the game. Lastly, there are several game concepts that Kiefer has announced that do not exist in the game yet. Some YouTubers will take these concepts and try to make it seem like they are already in the game, but they are not. The biggest concept that does not exist in the game right now is multiplayer. Multiplayer does not exist. These characters that attack you are fake players. They are generated by the game. They are not real people. These bases around you are fake bases. They are the exact same for all of us. You cannot build a radio tower. You cannot use that radio tower to chat with other players because there is no chat system in the game. You cannot travel to the pump jack and fight in a clan war. In fact, I'm skeptical of whether or not there are actually servers in this game, but that's beside the point. The point is that there is no multiplayer in this game yet. Recently, Kiefer stated that most of their employees are working on setting up multiplayer so that it will exist as soon as possible, but right now, it does not. As I mentioned earlier, the acid bath to cleanse an infected chest does not exist in the game yet. Dancing does not exist in the game, and Kiefer has made no implication that it ever will. The female character does not exist in the game yet, nor does the option to customize your character in any way. Having a pet dog or horse does not exist in the game yet. Fishing does not exist, but I imagine it will come very soon. Crossing the river does not exist, nor any type of swimming, though there is a rare chance of getting a snorkel at the rest stop, so some type of swimming may be introduced in the near future. Flippers do not exist in the game yet, but it does seem like that is something Kiefer is planning to add at some point. Kiefer said that they were going to introduce the blind zombie in, I believe it was update 1.5.2, but it never happened. I imagine they had some kind of technical difficulty. The shorts, tank top, sandals, and dual Berettas do not exist in the game. If you see someone with these items, they are a hacker. City runes, underground mining, and the subway system do not exist. In fact, traveling beyond these two areas does not exist yet. Interacting with any type of furniture does not exist yet, but Kiefer has mentioned plans that torturing NPCs may be something they add in the near future. The flamethrower does not exist yet, but I really hope it's coming soon. The overseer card does not exist in the game yet, and you cannot unjam this door. You cannot hire people to work at your workbenches. You cannot reinforce tier 3 and tier 4 armor yet, and mechanized armor does not exist yet. The rating system does not exist yet, but Kiefer has implied that they're going to add this very soon. I'll be posting a video tomorrow on how to prepare for that update. Well, that's it guys. I hope that helps. If it did, please give this video a like. I really want this information to get out to as many new players as possible. Also, if you are part of any type of Last Day on Earth community, would you please consider sharing this video with them? Like I said in the beginning of this video, knowing what does and doesn't exist in this game is the first step to becoming an advanced player. Alright guys, I'll see you next time.